Welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Steve Siler, Chief Technology Officer at North Mill Equipment Finance. Thanks for joining me, Steve.
Thanks, Jesse. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. Glad to be back.
I was going to say, it's great to have you on the program again, man. This time in Connecticut still, but working for a different organization and back, I guess, fully in equipment finance.
Yeah, I was related to it before. At my last company, we were going through like a roll-up that included finance sets as well as like some non-equipment related pieces as well. I feel like it gives me a little bit of perspective on what the broader market is bringing to the table as well, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great skill set to have. I think I have that a little bit down the road in my line of questioning, but you definitely understand that other side of the market that we typically don't get to very often.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But Steve, I'm going to start off again and have you just kind of introduce yourself and your career to date, man, if you don't mind.
Cool. Steve Siler, CTO at North Mill. I am coming up on just past 60 days of joining the organization. So this is new and fresh for me. I started my career out in AIG's asset management arm. So got introduced to equipment finance at an early age. And have started my career through that. I've developed software and solutions around equipment finance. Took a little break in between, went over into investment banking and led technology for an investment bank for a little while. Came back, was CTO at Stonebriar, and then ended up leading technology at their private equity sponsor, Eldridge. The last year that I've been working, I've actually worked at a startup advising them on how to manage the loan life cycle in the market. And it's been a fun ride with that. And now looking to take all that experience and apply it to what more North Mill does. So yeah, happy
Perfect.
to include that.
Perfect. Well, congratulations on the position at North Mill. Was excited to see you land there. Obviously, know that organization well, and I'm glad when they always bring on top tier talent to help lead it. But so I guess 60 days in, I'm gonna scoot around these questions here a little bit if you don't mind. So AIG, Stonebriar, more very large ticket transactions. Now you're more small ticket flow. uh, from a perspective, like what are your, I guess, just quick thoughts on the types of business that North Mill does with its partners compared to the previous organizations?
Well, it's the asset size were different at the two previous places, but the underwriting was also a little bit different as well, where like longer underwrite cycles, and this is more of a faster underwriting cycle, but the process is very similar. Um, the structuring of the technology needs to be able to support and facilitate the expediency of needing to do all of the underwriting and protect your capital and being able to deploy that capital efficiently. So it is a little bit different, but what really drew me to North Mill was their broker first mentality, where they're onboarding the 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 type of opportunities that come to market through a vast network of people that are able to bring us good opportunities in market, essentially, and are sometimes pre-vetted, sometimes not, but the broker network actually is a huge strong selling point to one of the reasons why I wanted to join here, to get exposure to that, to see how origination works. And then the other thing that I get excited about is what we're doing in the future from like all of the originations and being able to package up. Everybody now has tapped the securitization markets, and to have a team that is also focused on opening that up more and getting creative with how facilities are able to be structured, I think is another strength of this organization and this team.
Well, and based on your background and what you've done before, right, and the people that you know, I mean, I would say that's almost a perfect fit
It
there.
is like a couple conversations earlier today were just on that. And be like, well, this is how we can use technology and data in order to support those efforts, cap market type efforts. And it's one of those things that the light bulb goes off and you're like, all right, let's run forward with this. Um, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it's amazing how many people. I mean, I think my first structured finance conference I went to in Vegas was probably 10 years ago, and maybe there was a handful of equipment finance companies there. I mean, this year, I mean, there's still a massive amount of people there, but the amount of people that you recognize just continues to get more and more. So it is interesting to see how more and more of those organizations are looking for equipment finance assets
Well,
to
the large asset
securitize.
managers are getting smarter too. They have a lot of dry powder that they need to deploy and market. And they're looking for companies like us because it's my opinion. It's not North Mill's opinion, but it's my opinion
Sure.
that there's only so many dollars out there that you can do balance sheet lending for corporate credit. And you're going to need to have a tangible asset that you're hanging onto to as collateral to justify some of the loans in market. So the punchline is those large asset managers are going to need companies like North Mill and some of our competitor set in order to justify the dollars that are going out the door and the returns that are associated with those for their funds. So it's near and dear to what how I've spent the last
Yeah.
couple of years, like last 4 years or so.
No, it's fantastic. It'd be interesting to be a fly on the wall in that in your executive meetings where it's like, Steve, is the technology working? And it's like, yeah, the technology's working, and I have another opinion on this.
Yeah, I have some strong opinions on the market as a whole, which is nice, I guess, for some people.
It's nice for everyone. I mean, come on, it's diversity of thought, right?
Yeah,
Diversity of thought.
it's so large. We all come from different backgrounds, so
Yeah, absolutely.
really important to get additional perspective.
And then so 1 year of consulting for a startup. I want to dig into that a little bit if you don't mind.
Sure.
So consulting, you know, I've been doing it for a little while, kind of a lonely gig, right? And then it's like you get a startup and it's like, okay, let's try to do this.
Lonely
Like,
gig, something exciting, and you're trying to form how to operate as a business. We had a joke last year that we were LARPing as a business. Um, which if you don't know what LARPing is, it's live action role playing. So it's like the people that go to a park and dress up as knights and they pretend to have a knife or knight fight. Um, we were pretending to be a business. They're still going. I mean, it is actually a real business now. They've made some asset purchases that are very solid within the fund management space. Um, another another company is focused on validating ownership of a particular portion of a loan that needs to be distributed through funds, and then looking at the servicing loan life cycles as well, where this portion of this loan is pledged to this fund, and I need to distribute cash and returns down to those funds too. So they're trying to figure out some of those processes right now to be able to deploy. And it's a huge problem in market because on in the broadly syndicated loan market, they're still relying on fax machines and notices that you're going to get cash. And then cash shows up and you don't know where it's supposed to be applied to. And like on the corporate credit side, more businesses are opting for PIK. And they're like, surprise, you're getting a promise of we're going to pay you later at the tail end of your loan. So it's like all of these random things that happen in that market that just don't, it's not the same as the equipment finance space. You have collateral,
So when you
you have a payment stream, I owe you this amount, you get paid or you don't. Um, like our industry is a lot cleaner than some of the things that happen in more of the public and liquid markets.
Interesting. Now, when you say pick, that's not the software pick, is it?
No, payment in kind. So like
Okay.
you
So
basically
sorry.
take
There's an old legacy software platform out there from
no,
like the
I know.
70s called Pick, and I'm like, wait a
Yeah, there's some structures where you can opt for pick at the beginning. You can say like I can variable like say I want to pick this payment or not. Um,
minute.
and it's like they're reporting it now in industry as like a shadow default rate. So like if companies are opting for pick versus actually payment, they're basically like, well, you're now past due because you couldn't pay us. And companies are getting smarter too of like, hey, if you opt for pick too much, we actually get equity in kind.
I mean, that seems to be fair.
Yeah.
That's a whole different animal
Yeah,
path we
it's
could go down.
more of a finance discussion than a technology discussion.
Um, so I'm trying to think here. So going from Eldridge, managing several companies, every single day in their processes, not to say North Mill's a standalone. You guys have some subsidiaries as well.
Mhm.
Um, have you found it a little easier to focus now that you only have a few entities, as opposed to several, or are these still as similar, I guess, opportunities as you had at Eldridge?
I think it helps with the focus. There's still a lot of wood to chop here from a technology perspective, just because you're in that flow business and you need to make sure that all of your processes are tight. Sometimes it's not necessarily a technology problem. It is how can technology assist with the process? And the process gets pulled out within like the validation of like this is how we want things to work. It's a facilitator. It's not necessarily the reason. Um, I like my team. I like what they've already built here, and I feel like there's a large opportunity to just make it sing on a go forward basis, um, which is like one of the reasons, and again, another reason why I came to be able to um, elevate the level of execution that we can do here. I'm just really happy to be stepping into the role where um, they have the executive team at North Mill has a vision about where they want to be, where they want to grow, how they want to operate, and they believe that technology can help them solve it. It would not be it would not be a discussion unless we talked about AI. They're very AI first. They think about like what that means. How can it affect our process? Is it like additive or subtractive or replacement? So we're also looking at all of those opportunities in market at the same time. So we've had some very successful tests uh, before I got here. So like, yay, I get to start out with a project underneath the belt where we're not necessarily doing the education of why AI matters. We're doing all right, let's look at it one level deeper on what we can how we can apply that to affect change.
I guess since you brought up that those awesome two letters, you have a technology discussion, like you said, without talking about AI. What are
Yeah.
you seeing as the, I guess, some of the lowest hanging fruit for AI in organizations?
For for organizations, there's so many things that are just doing doc processing. I look at the I look at the future of AI as defining intent. So, case in point, I've done a lot of thought around like the mapping of data. And one of the things that everybody struggles with is I have all of these platforms that I use, or I have Excel too, and I have these models that say this is the value that I'm expecting, this is the yield. Well, when I have a yield in a model, that's one way I get like net present value. I have a yield in one of the tools, so like T-value or Super Trump or any of the other calculators, there's a yield there. I have a yield that's calculated by like my data warehouse, which is like another function of like discounting cash flows forward. And then I have my yield that's in my loan or lease management system. That is a different one of what I expect. All right, what's the right one? What is the intent behind which one do I use? So it's like our understanding the mapping of the data and the intent behind the purpose of each one. One was a qualifying one that we had to use for getting under underwriting. One is for loan management. This is the one that I have to do. I have to report out to my downstream investors because this is what they want to see, or a rating agency or something like that, which becomes
Mm.
more of a public facing one. And I have to have the higher standard of reporting for that, right? So sometimes these LLMs are a little bit of a black box, and you have to define the result that you're looking for. The other thing on the AI piece that I find interesting is can I remove some work for people to do to make their lives a little bit easier? So being able to like sift through the haystack and not do my work for me. I don't want to have to go through as much in order to be able to be effective.
Yeah, like admin, repeatable tasks,
It's like
So,
just credit pre-qualify, right? Like you didn't pass these tests for these reasons, and like I don't want to have to perform an underwriting process if I don't have to.
sure. Yeah, I also see it more for like customer service collection activity, right?
Yeah,
Someone calls up, I mean, they're gonna have what, 3 to 5 questions, and how is that's repeatable, right?
yeah, but do you want another chatbot? Like, do you want to interact with another chatbot?
Not necessarily. However,
Did I turn
I
into interviewer this time? That's crazy.
it's fine, it's fine. No, but if you're calling up for a customer service or collections, yeah, you want to talk to somebody. However, you also don't want to be on hold or waiting.
Right,
So
true.
if
You
it's
want to
something where
ride
it's self,
a
so if it's
shortcut.
if it's self service, let's rock and roll self service. Now all of a sudden, if you get angry and it senses like your tone, then it's like, okay, we have to escalate this to a live person because they're not.
Yeah, a couple years ago, I underwrote a chatbot. I know, I was like kind of sarcastic about no one wants another one, but they actually are the chatbot behind Delta and Disney's piece, and I learned a lot on how AI works within that frame set. It was a very
So if you type in capital letters, does it get more attention
no,
or no?
it actually was. You could set the level limits of what you wanted the bot to be able to perform. So like if you needed if you allowed it to give you meal vouchers because your flight was delayed up to 2 hours or something like that, it would go ahead and have the workflow be able to release that, which is a huge time savings for a customer service organization. I totally get that.
Especially in times of like if they have to deal with rebooking options and everything else. You can
Oh yeah.
that's fantastic. You
Yeah,
can
it's fantastic.
offload that.
And,
Yeah.
and we're dealing in an environment where last week a tornado hit Jamaica, and there's several customer service firms that are out of Jamaica as well, and you're seeing an impact there.
I didn't think about that. I didn't even think about that offshore. Is that near shoring? Was that near shoring
It's
that
I
happened?
would call it nearshoring because it's similar time zone, and unfortunately it impacts a lot of people. It's the human element.
Yeah. Well, human business too, because like someone has to still make those calls. If it's not
And
there,
work still has to
like
get
where's the
done,
fallback?
and people are and they're
Yeah.
not able
Okay.
to be involved.
So 60 days in,
Yeah.
where's your head at, man?
So I was very prescriptive when I started at North Mill, and I said it to the team before I walked in. I was like, the to do this right, we're gonna have to have me listen for the first 30 days. I know I'm whatever and experienced in equipment finance, and I'm experienced in this market, and I've implemented a lot of things that have made change. However, I don't know your process. I don't know the people. I don't know what is exists or where the opportunities are. So the first 30 days was just me being included and getting to know the team, getting to understand the process, the technology involved. The next 30 days, so I just wrapped up that period of time where where I was able to formulate, all right, these are the opportunities that we have on the technology side to to make incremental change. And um we just wrapped that up. And the next 30 days is actually let's go.
Okay.
So this 30-day planning period for myself, because I have this opportunity to where like everybody's kind of like set in their ways until the end of the year. I have a good 30 days to say like this is what our roadmap looks like. This is what needs to be done. This is how we're going to do it. And I already have some of the team members contributing to that, and everybody's starting to get a little excited about it. Of doing things as simple as like a persona mapping exercise of these are all the people that we have here, and this is the job function that they do, and this is how they do it. And like we already have that, which is great. And it's all right, here's what the roadmap looks like. And I even sent an email out to our CRO this morning of like, this is kind of what our next 16 to 18 months looks like. And I actually have like a 3-year roadmap forming in my head. Now, to be clear, there are a lot of unexpected things that could pop up. Those roadmaps actually can include any of those changes that they should be adaptable enough. But it's more of like, I see what the where the horizon is, and we're gonna walk that way. Like we can veer left or right a little bit, but from a goal setting perspective, I've been in this industry for about 20 years now, and I kind of know the level of effort that these things are going to take. Um, Especially with the team that I have supporting me. I mean, like I have more people here than I've ever had before available to tap and available to lean on with experience, with eagerness, in very independent ways. So it's one of those things where I personally like the ability to coach, the ability to help people along and rise them up and say like this is how we're going to do things, because they also seem really hungry here for a little bit of structure, that they already have these tools in their toolbox um, that they weren't optimized to use. So like the documentation process, the handoff between teams, all of these things they were already doing. It's just, hey, can we do it a little bit better? And can we wrap around a little bit of process for ourselves? Yes, we designate process for the rest of the team as for technology, but like let's turn the eyes inward a little bit to be able to optimize and make us more a little bit more efficient at the same time. And they're like, yeah, we can do it. So there's been some positive change, and um, everybody's gravitating towards this documentation handoff. I am building on other people's work to make this larger art project come true. Um, which has been a nice little thing. It's only 60 days. So it's been this like, all right, let's go.
It'll be interesting. I think this is probably episode, I think it's 256 or 257. You just fast forward 18 months. What is that? 75 episodes later.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see if we can have you on for a little show and tell. And you can sit there and say, hey, this is what I thought. No, wait, here was this curveball. Like, wait, no, here was this. And what did
Well,
that do to your plan? Like
well,
that's
North Mill,
interesting.
I don't know how, they want to do both organic and inorganic growth, like everybody else, right? And
We've seen it over the last what 6 months. I mean, like, yeah, you're growing.
we, we
Buckle up.
yeah, Buttercup. Um,
I wasn't gonna say
it's
that.
all good. Because you didn't say the second half. I think what we can put in here is it can be flexible enough for anything that happens, whether organically or inorganically, to bake in the flexibility, to bake in um, essentially putting together puzzle pieces that could be or could not be used. Syndication, AI, like
Think, I
additional
mean,
funding.
the different platforms in you're inheriting. Is that in the
Huh.
best interest of the long term strategy of the organization? There's a lot that you have to think
Well,
about.
you want things to be plug and play. And um I was talking a little bit about this before is I was talking about this yesterday. These loan management platforms that are out there within our industry kind of all have the same data model. It's a contract, it's an obligor or borrower, it's an asset, it is a payment stream. Um, those are kind of generalized enough that if I get to a data model that accepts that, I can plug and play any version of a loan management platform on top of that, which then allows me to be able to take a portfolio purchase, let's say a portfolio, right? And then map it in the same way that we would do our existing origination process. So they can live side by side, but it's like from an aggregate level, I'm using different tools, but I get
Yeah.
to the same result.
And it's also the ease of doing that, and more importantly, it's like, can the system maintain like
Yeah, and
continually?
that's then a yes, because these concepts are generalized enough to be
Yeah.
able to say like, well, this flavor is a little bit different. All right, if I need to add a field, I can add a field, but from a from a structure perspective, we kind of already know what it should look like.
Yeah. No, absolutely,
One of the
absolutely.
projects that I'm really excited about is like a data warehouse revamp exercise. And um like I was talking about with the AI looking at its head, um I think data is core to all of the businesses that need to make decisions today. And like most companies, you've evolved over time, and what you put in place 5, 10 years ago may not be completely aligned with what your point of view is to today. So one of the opportunities that I'm really excited about to just take these structures and modernize some of the infrastructure that we have for all of these sources. Like within our industry, you have all of these credit reporting bureaus. You have data validation, you have asset validation, you have all of the LMSs, you have all of these different sources that need to be aggregated and to to not to not flush away all of the things that you've done previously, but to build on them and say like, all right, we can restructure these to be a little bit more efficient. To say, I can, when something happens over here, I'm only going to make the changes pulling forward, right? I don't have to refresh everything. And you can use like modernized best practices to get a cost savings there and an underlying efficiency that you didn't necessarily have whenever you built it 5, 6 years ago. Because you only knew what you knew then, and you can change it out.
Yeah. Nope. spot on. And then obviously that helps from a reporting perspective as well.
Yeah.
So you get all that stuff into one data warehouse. Big.
I mean, we have a data warehouse and I love it. I want more out of it. I want it to
Sure.
be like the most efficient data warehouse. All of it.
Not enough organizations out there actually have taken the time to build those. And I would say it's almost one of the most important investments in
Well, it's
an
not easy.
organization.
It's very difficult to understand exactly what you need to present and how it needs to be structured. But if you kind of have like, it should look like this, you can that can be your target.
Same page, man. So I'm gonna go back to technology if you don't mind. So we talked a little bit about AI. Are you seeing any other like tools that are coming out that you can consider to be a disruptor?
I don't think it's a disruptor. I think it's an evolution, but one of the things that everybody is getting more and more comfortable with is the machine learning portion of it, because at the end of the day, it is math. You're doing a prediction based off, and I don't want to confuse AI with ML because they're very different. Like AI
Sure. Sure.
is a probabilistic model versus a deterministic model. So they're just the way in my mind I process them are different. One is I can get predictive analytics based off of a historical pattern, and the other one is I can throw in a large language model on top of um, my existing um, data set to get a predictive piece of it. So I look at predictive analytics for machine learning as a core portion of what we do and want to do here. The other thing I know I'm like 10 years behind the curve, but tokenization is going to be a big focus over the next 5 years. And I know everybody says blockchain is like last year's tech. I disagree
I don't think it got
because
the adoption in equipment finance that it probably should have. When that first hit like 10 years ago, we were sitting there like, dude, these people don't even have DocuSign yet. Like, couldn't you slow
oh,
down a
I
little
know.
bit?
Well, like
Let's
I
slow
thought the
down.
best use case was for a captive finance company, like a John Deere or something like that, that would have all of the parts, the origination of the asset, the finance arm, the payment history, like all of these things that were a part of the chain. I thought that that's what it was. And I think we are all a little naive with that. However, um, if I take a step back and look at the market, there is this thought process around retail and retail investors that has been restrictive from our asset class specifically. And if you're looking for the next wave of investors that come through, you have this generational wealth that's going to transfer from boomers down to millennials, and they're not focused on the same type of assets. And if you can package a product that's securitized by our asset class, it is a different
Yeah.
set of investment that you can open up to retail and still comply with whatever the regulators need to say, if you're doing it on a tokenized basis. So um, I it is an older technology, but it is a newer focus on a different market. I wanted to put this fund together like 3 years ago. I have a whole project plan on how you could tokenize asset-backed finance. Um, I didn't get enough buy-in from an executive level previously. So
Well, and now we're throwing it out here now. So,
I
you
did.
know,
I look at me go.
we'll figure out if it makes the final edit or not. But yeah, I'll roll with it. You know, man, I don't care. So, Steve, want to talk about so coming up in the AIG world, that's in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
guessing.
And we had a unit in Plano, Texas as well.
Plano, Texas. Okay, I was wondering the fate connection to Texas
Sister
and everything.
companies. Yeah. The rail group was a spin out of the equipment finance group.
Okay. So coming out of the I'm just gonna call it the fate ecosystem. We'll say it like that, right? I think what was
You make that up just now?
basically, yeah. Sorry, David. Hope that's okay. But I think Kirk Phillips was there too. So you got
Kirk,
to
who's
come,
now at Wintrust, yeah.
yes, you got to come up, with some pretty, I guess, heavy hitters in this industry. Let's kind of talk about that and from like a mentorship perspective and what that kind of meant to your career at a younger age.
Well, it was amazing. So to actually say I was part of the equipment finance industry is actually I actually joined it when I was 10. So yeah, I went to my dad was one of the first lessors for coal service in the Midwest. And I went to a convention to basically tag along with him, and they built 4,000 rail cars in his fleet that he was managing for logistics purposes. And my exposure came to equipment finance at an early age through that. But at the same time, it gave me like a point of view of joining AIG and kind of being very eager to understand what that world looked like. And at the same time, when we hit the GFC, it gave us an opportunity to look inward to be the best possible versions of ourselves, because essentially the spigot of funding turned off for us at AIG. And then it was like, all right, let's put ourselves up for sale, but we have to actually organize around all of our business process and function in order to do so. So fast forward, we were sold. One of the things that was part of my role was to handle all the operations for the spinoff out of AIG. And I had to spend a couple weeks down with Dave Fate's team and Kirk's team down in Plano in order to like truly understand and be able to support these processes on a go-forward basis. So your comment of the training, it was kind of a whirlwind.
Or trial by
But
fire, man, especially with those
it was a
guys.
trial by fire, and it was some of the best times of my life. And then when I rejoined Stonebriar to go back onto that team, it was the next building over from where I had that whirlwind process. It was like, okay, it's right there. I mean, when I was joining Stonebriar, I lived on an apartment complex on the other side of it, so I had to walk by this every single day in order to like get to and from work. So it was like it was one of those memories that kept happening on a daily basis, and it was a net positive. And one thing about the team there that I really enjoyed is that they were always like curious, like, but also skeptical. So the curiosity was like, can technology do this? Nah. And then it was up to me to prove them wrong. And I did so many times. There was one thing one time with delinquency where there was like this company always pays on the third Thursday of the month, and if it fell past like the notice period or whatever, they're like, oh, it'll pop up. And I was like, actually, I can program for that if that's okay. So I did, and they're like, oh, I didn't think you could do it. Cool. Let's figure out what's next. It was just like, all right, check the box, let's move forward. It was like a little, it wasn't necessarily a celebrate your success type of situation. It was just like,
I can do it.
all right, let's do the next thing. Which is great.
Fantastic. Just I was just remembering from previous conversations that you and I've had and going back to that. I didn't
Yeah,
know. So
I miss Texas. It was a good time in my life over at Stonebriar where um positive. My family dynamic changed. It was moving back to like closer to family, so enjoyed
Now,
it.
is there ever going to be that opportunity where maybe you go back to Texas?
To Texas? I don't know.
I don't know if your wife is ever going to watch this or not. So, and just kind
Well,
of leave that
she
open.
wanted to move back to Texas like a while ago. I would have to ask her again. I don't, whatever. We're kind of here. I This is probably way too personal, but I have a really good interest rate, like most of the people that did at the time of moving post-COVID.
Three
Um,
percent, man. I mean, you built a new home with 3%. I mean, it's
3%,
free money.
yes,
It's free money.
it was. Yeah, I mean, it's you can make more in the market now than paying something like that off. Like, give me the longest term, 3%. I'm in this industry. I know what that means.
I read about it in the book.
Once or twice.
Yeah, yeah. All right. I'm just trying to think here, Steve. What other questions I have for you? I guess if you had to take a look in a crystal ball of where you see yourself at North Mill and some of these things you're working on right now, we're looking 6 months in the future. Like, I guess, what are you tackling first? What does success look like? I guess in your first 6 to 9 months at North. Like,
Um,
sorry to ask you now, just for the record, people watching this, I haven't prepped Steve for any of these things. I'm just kind
no,
of
I
shooting
did.
off the hip. So,
Why only 6 months? No, I'm
all
kidding.
right. So,
No, 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 no. 6 months is a good term. Because it's applicable to be able to affect change, right? So the first 6 months, what I want to do is change perception culturally at North Mill, and I don't think that everything's like dysfunction. It's not. I want to be accountable for the delivery of affecting change. So one of the things is that like in technology, you have these projects that kind of take on the life of their own, and you want to make sure that you are able to hold to your commitments of I promised you that I would be able to do this for you in this amount of time, and can I deliver that? So that's number one. Um, the number two is I want to break down some of the walls in between there's like a in technology there's a dependency from the business to you to be able to deliver these projects. We live in a world now where everybody's on a computer, everybody's plugged in, everybody's on Zoom, everybody's using technology to enter in data to make these decisions to affect work. So there's kind of a along with that accountability piece, I want to be able to break down the communication walls so people are able to have more normalized communication with it. Me as a perennial nerd, I may sometimes have used terminology that people don't understand. And
I can attest to that in my conversations
sorry,
with you.
man, I
Like,
do my
sorry.
best.
Hey, there's only so much I got up here. Okay, just
I got so much that I can talk to you about. Um, So I want to remove this black box and open up communication and open up feedback. Like get to a point where there's a thought process around what does a net promoter score look like, which is more of like a marketing term,
sure.
but along with the accountability, I need to be able to communicate. And with the ability to communicate comes along with a customer satisfaction. And my end clients and my customers are my internal team that is using my technology that I'm deploying. So figuring that out. And I also have a list of 5 OKRs that I'm putting forth as well as like, can I get an innovation lab here? Can I open up people's time to be able to work on things that they either want to work on to improve somebody's life or that is net new benefit to us that they might have an idea that we need to foster. There's other pieces of business communication where like we can use marketing for ourselves to be like, all right, to solicit what is next to share in the pipeline. So there's these strategic initiatives that I'm looking at to be able to not just look as technology as a function, but can I also kind of lead with a strategic executive presence to pull things along and change people like how they view themselves and how they interact with their peers.
It's fantastic. You have one of the best in the business from a marketing perspective that you can,
Oh yeah, she's great.
tag team some of these projects with Blair. So I made sure I threw her plug in at the end, so she had to watch the entire thing. So yeah,
I'll make sure she knows.
it'll be interesting. I mean, the NPS is, I mean, I know it's basic almost, but I like to see what internal NPSs are, because I think that's a really good benchmark in regards to how you're performing.
I agree. It's going to be huge for us and how we work. The other thing I think back in the history of my career is when I was in investment banking, we came up with this very new way to do grading of people for performance management, and it was strictly binary. Do you have this skill or do you not? That's it. It was
Cadillac or steak knives?
yeah, it was like, well, what you can do then is saying if you don't have this skill, this is the program to be able to work to satisfy the skill. If the next round comes around and you just still don't have the skill, okay, what it's very binary. And
You have the Doctor Evil button. I can see it. I get it.
well, think about high performing people always grade themselves at a curve that I'm high performing. I must be a high performer, right? So it removed performance bias out of it. Yes or no? That's it.
Keep it short and sweet. So how many no's before the
Before you
writing?
go, how many
Before the
notes before
writing?
you go?
Right.
Um, it was three.
Three. Okay. All right. Got it. I mean, it's a good number.
It was their cycle. So like analysts were a 3-year program, associates were a 3-year program. So it was very, very plain to you. You knew what you were getting into when you started those roles.
You just don't show up to the third one. Got it.
Yeah, just
Understandable.
bye.
This is no. See you later. Awesome. Well, Steve, congratulations again on joining North Mill. We have a great leadership team there with Mark, David, Tom, Blair. So
Yeah, they're great.
definitely a great addition to that team. I'm excited to see the growth within that organization over the last couple of years, both direct and indirect. And yeah, yeah, be interesting to see on a day-to-day basis in regards to what Mark and David come in your office with and say, "Hey, I need this."
All the conversations are very interesting and engaging too. I mean, they understand what I'm talking about, which is sometimes a stretch. Um, and I they're receptive, I'm receptive. It's a partnership and I'm enjoying it.
All right, man. Well, I really appreciate your time today. It's great having you back on the program, and look forward to catching up with you in person coming in December here.
Thanks, Jesse. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
All right,
Have a
talk
good
soon,
night.
man. Thank you.